Have you ever stopped to wonder about the story of Noah's Ark? A tale of faith, survival, and a boat filled with every species on Earth. On the surface, it's a story of divine intervention and human resilience. But when we dig deeper, does the narrative hold water, or does it start to sink under scrutiny? Today, we're embarking on a journey, not aboard a wooden ark, but through the waves of controversy, criticism, and conversation that surround one of the most debated stories in human history. Join us as we explore why the story of Noah's Ark might not make as much sense as you think. Prepare to question, to challenge, and maybe to see this ancient tale in a new light. Long ago, the world was filled with people who did bad things, and this made life on Earth very hard and unhappy. Seeing this, the one believed to be the creator of all decided to make a fresh start. But there was one man, Noah, who was good and kind, and he and his family were chosen to survive the coming flood meant to cleanse the earth. Noah was given a huge task: to build an ark, a giant boat that could hold his family, as well as 2 of every kind of animal on the planet. Imagine the challenge: collecting and caring for animals ranging from tiny insects to towering elephants. Once the ark was built and the animals were aboard, the floods came. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights, covering the earth in water. Noah, his family, and all the animals remained safe inside the ark as the waters rose and covered mountains, cities, and forests. Finally, the rain stopped and the waters began to recede. To find out if the land was dry, Noah sent out a dove. When the dove returned with an olive leaf, Noah knew that plants were growing again and that there were dry places on Earth. Eventually, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, and Noah, his family, and the animals left the ark to begin life anew on a cleansed Earth. The story ends with a promise, a rainbow in the sky, as a sign that such a flood would not happen again, symbolizing hope and a new beginning for all. When we turn to history and archaeology to find evidence of Noah's Ark and the global flood, we find ourselves navigating through a sea of skepticism and intrigue. The tale of a flood that engulfs the entire Earth, sparing only Noah, his family, and pairs of every animal species by sheltering them in a vast ark, is a narrative that captivates many. Yet the physical evidence for such an event is notably scarce. Despite the meticulous records kept by ancient civilizations, none document a disaster on the scale of the global flood described in Noah's story. Civilizations like the ancient Egyptians and Mesopotamians, whose timelines intersect with when the flood is purported to have occurred, show no interruption in their historical records or sudden halts in their cultural and architectural development that a flood of such magnitude would necessitate. Numerous expeditions have ventured forth to uncover any physical evidence of the ark itself or signs of a catastrophic global flood. These searches have ranged from the mountains of Ararat, where the ark is said to have come to rest, to the depths of the ocean floor, seeking remnants of a civilization washed away by divine wrath. Yet no conclusive evidence has been found that confirms the biblical narrative as a historical event. Geologists and paleontologists have also weighed in on the possibility of a global flood. Layers of sediment around the world would likely tell the tale of such an event, yet the geological record does not support the occurrence of a worldwide deluge in the time frame suggested by the story of Noah's Ark. Instead, evidence of local floods and natural disasters abound, leading some to speculate that the story might be an amalgamation of smaller, localized events that were passed down through generations and eventually woven into the narrative we know today. The absence of solid historical and archaeological evidence does not outright refute the possibility of a flood or the existence of Noah's Ark, but it does raise questions about interpreting the story as a literal, historical event. Perhaps the power of the Noah's Ark narrative lies not in its historical accuracy, but in its moral and spiritual lessons about survival, renewal, and the relationship between humanity and the divine. The story of Noah's Ark, while rich in symbolic and moral significance, presents several scientific conundrums when taken literally. Let's explore some of the key points where the narrative encounters scientific scrutiny. According to the story, Noah gathered 2 of every species on Earth into the Ark. Today, scientists have identified millions of species, from insects to elephants. The logistical challenge of collecting, housing, and caring for such a diverse array of animals, not to mention the space and food requirements, raises significant questions. Furthermore, the task of gathering species from continents Noah could not have possibly reached adds another layer of complexity to the story. The concept of a genetic bottleneck refers to a drastic reduction in a population's genetic diversity due to a significant decrease in its size. If all animal life was reduced to just pairs of each species, the genetic implications would be profound, leading to inbreeding and the potential for numerous genetic defects. Yet, the current genetic diversity observed across species does not support such a bottleneck occurring in the recent past. The Ark is described as having specific dimensions that, while impressive, prompt questions about its seaworthiness and capacity. Naval engineers and architects have debated the feasibility of a wooden vessel of such size maintaining structural integrity, let alone weathering a catastrophic global flood without modern shipbuilding technologies. Some scientists and scholars suggest that the Noah's Ark narrative may be inspired by local flood events that were common in the ancient world, particularly in the flood-prone regions of the Middle East. These localized events could have been exaggerated and mythologized into the story known today, serving as a cautionary tale about divine wrath and human redemption. While the scientific community largely views the Noah's Ark story as improbable from a literal standpoint, its value may lie in the lessons it teaches and the cultural and religious significance it holds for many. The discussion it sparks about faith, morality, and the interface between science and religion is perhaps its most enduring legacy. The story of Noah's Ark is not only a subject of scientific debate, but also of theological discussion. Different faiths, and even different branches within the same faith, offer varying interpretations of the story, each with its unique insights and lessons. Some religious groups view the Noah's Ark story as a literal historical event, emphasizing the power of faith and obedience to divine will. This perspective often sees the story as a testament to God's judgment and mercy, with the rainbow serving as a covenant between God and humanity. Conversely, many theologians and believers interpret the story metaphorically, focusing on its moral and spiritual lessons rather than its historical accuracy. From this viewpoint, Noah's Ark is about renewal, the importance of righteousness, and the possibility of redemption. The flood represents a cleansing of moral corruption, with the Ark symbolizing salvation for those who are faithful. The story raises important theological questions about the nature of divine justice and mercy. Why would a loving deity choose to wipe out almost all life on Earth? How do we reconcile the story's depiction of divine wrath with modern understandings of God's love and compassion? These questions provoke rich discussions about the nature of God, human free will, and the interpretation of sacred texts. Interestingly, the motif of a global flood is not unique to the Judeo-Christian tradition. Many cultures around the world have their flood myths, which theologians and scholars often compare to Noah's Ark. This raises questions about the story's origins and its universal themes of destruction and rebirth, suggesting a shared human concern with existential threats and the hope for renewal. Ultimately, the diversity of theological perspectives on Noah's Ark reflects the broader conversation about the role of faith in interpreting sacred stories. It highlights how religious narratives can be viewed through multiple lenses, each offering different insights and lessons. The story of Noah's Ark is just one of many flood myths that span the globe, each with its own unique characters, causes, and outcomes. These parallels invite us to explore the common threads that tie humanity together, shedding light on our collective psyche and the lessons we draw from natural disasters. Perhaps the closest parallel to the biblical flood story is found in the Epic of Gilgamesh, a Mesopotamian poem that predates the biblical narrative by centuries. In this epic, Utnapishtim is warned by a god to create a giant boat to survive a catastrophic flood sent by the divine council. Like Noah, Utnapishtim brings his family and animals aboard, survives the flood, and sends out birds to find dry land. This similarity suggests a shared or borrowed origin story, reflecting the cultural exchanges between ancient civilizations. Beyond Mesopotamia, flood myths are found in the traditions of many cultures, including the Hindu story of Manu in India, who saves humanity from a flood by building a boat, and the Mesoamerican narratives that speak of floods purging the earth of mankind's misdeeds. Even in remote areas, such as the Australian Aboriginal stories, tales of great floods shaping the landscape and humanity's fate emerge. These stories often serve to explain natural disasters, teach moral lessons, or justify social orders. They might represent collective memories of real events, such as rising sea levels or river floods, mythologized over generations. Alternatively, they might symbolize cycles of destruction and rebirth inherent to human experience and the natural world. The widespread existence of flood myths points to a universal fascination with and fear of the power of nature, as well as a hopeful belief in human resilience and the possibility of new beginnings. It underscores our need to find meaning in chaos and to believe in the potential for renewal, even in the face of overwhelming disaster. As we reach the end of our journey through the story of Noah's Ark, we've traversed through historical, scientific, theological, and cultural landscapes. We've explored the challenges of accepting the story as literal truth, the scientific questions it raises, the diverse theological interpretations it inspires, and its parallels in myths around the world. Each perspective offers a unique lens through which to view this ancient narrative, enriching our understanding and sparking thoughtful debate. The story of Noah's Ark, with its themes of judgment, salvation, and renewal, continues to fascinate and provoke discussion among believers, skeptics, and the curious alike. It's a testament to the power of storytelling and its ability to convey deep truths, moral lessons, and existential questions that resonate across time and culture. Now we turn to you, our viewers. How do you interpret the story of Noah's Ark? Do you see it as a historical account, a metaphorical lesson, or perhaps as a reflection of universal human experiences? What can we learn from the similarities and differences in flood myths from around the world? We encourage you to share your thoughts, questions, and insights in the comments below. Let's create a space for respectful and engaging dialogue where diverse viewpoints can coexist and enrich our collective understanding. If you found this exploration intriguing and want to dive deeper into the stories that shape our world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Join us on this journey of discovery and discussion where every story is a gateway to new perspectives and profound questions. Thank you for watching, and let's continue the conversation. What's your take on Noah's Ark?